Hey everybody, welcome back to video game Esoterica and our side series on Technicality. What we're going to be taking a look at today is getting the process started for wiring up a steering wheel and pedals for the Hyper Neo Geo 64 driving games. Before we get too involved though, just go down and hit that like and subscribe button, definitely helps us out. So what we're looking at right here is the wiring harness, the start of it at least. What I've done is I've crimped all the pins that I need onto the amount of wires I need, and I've zip tied them together just to kind of train them so they'll all go in the same direction. And they're just going to pop right into that little white plastic connector and into that slot so we can build the harness to control the game. So taking a look here, this is the wheel that I bought, and this is the diagram. We just need 4 buttons on that wheel as well as the potentiometer data. So view A and view B are going to be button 1 and 2, and shift up and shift down are going to be button 3 and 4. And I did that just because the thumb naturally sits over those, so it seemed like a really good place to control. Now as far as building the harness is concerned, we don't have a schematic, but a user on Neo Geo forums was nice enough to send me multiple photos of his board, so we kind of have to color trace the path out. It's not going to be easy and there's going to be a little bit of guesswork, but we're able to work off these photos to kind of understand where those cables go. No judgment to the user, he got this out of an arcade, so that dirt and nastiness there is not from his house, it's from where he got the board from. So now that we have all those different photos looked at, we've created a color map so that we know for the top row and for the bottom row what color cables go into what color pins. And then from there, we've created a front and reverse diagram of all the different colors that are going in. Now we do have multiple colors of the same cable, there's more than one black, there's more than one red, so there's still going to be a little bit of guesswork with the photos, but this gives us the most amount of information possible to build the harness. So we're just going to pop the screws out of the bottom of the brake and gas pedal assembly, and we are going to find that there are 2 screws underneath the bottom, rubber feet, and I do try to take those off with a flathead screwdriver. I did it off camera because it was really difficult to do. Just be careful when you do this. If you slip, you can put that screwdriver into your hand. I've never done it, but I've gotten close. But now that we're into the bottom of the brake and gas assembly, we're going to see the 2 potentiometers, as well as all the different wiring we need. We've got our ground wire, we've got our plus 5 volt wire, and then we've got our signal wires from both potentiometers, so we're going to be able to take that data out of the potentiometer and get it right into the arcade PCB, so we're able to control both gas and brake through those little plastic connectors right there. And anytime I'm going to modify a pre-existing product, I take a photograph of what it looks like before I start my work. That way if I have to undo anything, I can take a look at the photo and know what was going on before I touched any of the wiring. And taking a look inside, you're going to see we have all these wires here. The black wires are going to be ground. That's going to be a common ground from both potentiometers. That red line is going to be a plus 5 volt, and that's going to turn into the white cable right here going out. And then the blue and the green cables are going to be the data actually coming off the potentiometers themselves. And just to check how everything's wired up, I do come through with my multimeter, and I just check continuity and everything. If you push the pedals down, continuity does stop, so it kind of allows things to read, and you'll just see how those potentiometers work when you push down, and they just kind of rotate. Popping the plug off the end, now we have all the different wires we need to work with. That way we can wire everything up into the harness for the Hyper Neo Geo 64. Don't cut till you're ready, it is irreversible. Well, kind of not, I guess you could reverse it. But now that we cut one end, we don't need this little plastic housing right here. It's kind of like an S-video cable. What we do need to do is get the wires slack enough so that we can actually get to the underside of that PCB to start wiring up our buttons and potentiometer. So what we're going to do is just come into the cuff here and remove those strain relief. That way we can feed the cable a little bit further up into the wheel, so we're actually able to get access to the parts that we need to work on. Just be careful when you're doing this. Everything is cheap plastic, so you could totally break it. But now we are in 100%. And we have found out that this has an optical encoder. This does not have a potentiometer for the steering. How it works is this little disc here has cutouts, and those optical connectors, as you turn them left and right, they're going to read those grooves and convert it to analog data. So this wheel is absolutely useless. We can't use it. But what we can still do is wire up the gas pedals and the brake pedals. It's unfortunate that that wheel didn't work, but I kind of forgot the optical encoders were used in the PlayStation 1 era. I kind of thought if I bought something that old, we'd be working with 100% potentiometers, but unfortunately that's what we ended up with. I'm just taking my cable harness apart right here. I zip tie everything the night before, that way they just kind of train to all go in the same direction. You can see is 3 of the 4 wires are already soldered together. They've already been spliced. I'm going to do the 4th wire right here. I just come in and kind of twist those together. I don't do alignment splice on it because it's not really going to be strained much whatsoever, so this is going to work. Then I just come in and paint some solder on those 2 wires to marry them into one. It's not the cleanest job, but it's really hard to solder on camera, so you have to bear with what I've actually done here, but it does work. What I'll do from there is just bring a little bit of heat shrink tubing in, and I'll heat shrink all 4 solder joints. That way they can't touch one another and ground out and kind of misrepresent the signals that they need to be. And then what I'm going to do from there, after all 4 of those are shrink tubed, is I'll bring a larger piece of shrink tube in, put it over all 4 of the already shrinked connections, and then I'll just heat it up. That way we have a really clean, strong harness to work with when we plug it in. And you'll see now we have that full harness built for the gas and for the brake pedal. So that we have all that built, we are going to have to look for a steering wheel that uses a potentiometer. That way we can control the actual cars in the game. But our brake and our gas pedal have their grounds, their 5 volts, as well as their 2 signal leads attached, so we can actually at least accelerate and decelerate in the game. Short of that, we'll be back on Tuesday with another mainline entry in the series, and we will be back to finish this project up. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, it really helps us out. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.